Videodrome was not just a cult horror film. It was a prophetic fever dream, a cinematic virus that infected the minds of its creators and predicted a future of screens, flesh, and a reality so corrupted it would be impossible to distinguish from the signal. What audiences saw was a bizarre story about a television station and a dangerous broadcast. What they did not see was the behind-the-scenes battle to create effects, so real they disgusted the crew, a star so committed he asked to keep a piece of his own mutated body, and a director so far ahead of his time he was basically documenting the present day. Today, we are tuning into the forbidden frequency to uncover 20 weird facts about Videodrome that will melt your mind. And stick around for our bonus fact about the secret biological signal hidden in the film's very first frame. Number 20. The stomach slit effect was so real it made crew members vomit. The film's most iconic and disturbing effect, where Nikki Brand seductively invites Max Wren to insert a gun into a vaginal-like slit in her stomach, was not CGI. It was a real-time, on-set practical effect, so grotesque it had a visceral impact on everyone present. What audiences did not know was that effects legend Rick Baker and his team created a stunningly lifelike foam latex prosthetic attached to Deborah Harry's torso. Hidden underneath was a small vacuum pump. When James Woods touched the prosthetic, an effects technician off-camera would activate the pump, causing the slit to pucker and pulse as if it were breathing and alive. The effect was so convincing and so unexpected that several crew members reportedly became physically ill and had to leave the set. It was not a movie trick, it was a live body horror performance happening right before their eyes. Number 19. James Woods was so intense, he asked to keep the gun hand prop. James Woods' performance, as the increasingly unhinged Max Wren, is not just acting, it is a full-throated descent into a character's madness, a process that bled into his reality. James Woods, known for his intense method approach, became completely consumed by the role. What audiences did not know was that he formed a strange, possessive attachment to the film's most famous prop, the grotesque, fleshy gun hand that his character grows. The prop, another Rick Baker masterpiece, was a complex animatronic that James Woods had to learn to operate with his own hand movements. He became so adept and so psychologically linked to the object that at the end of the shoot he formally asked the producers if he could keep it. They refused, but the request from James Woods speaks volumes about the immersive, psychological power of both the role and the object that defined it. Number 18. The Videodrome signal was a real urban legend that the film exploited. The film's central premise, a mysterious broadcast signal depicting torture and murder, was not just a fictional concept. It was deliberately designed to tap into a real, pervasive urban legend of the era, the snuff film. What audiences did not know was that in the late 70s and early 80s, there were widespread, unsubstantiated rumors of underground films in which people were actually murdered on camera. David Cronenberg did not invent this fear, he weaponized it. To market the film, the studio leaned into the myth, creating fake Videodrome tapes and distributing them to video stores, blurring the line between the film's fiction and the audience's real-world anxieties. The film does not just feature a dangerous signal, it became one, a piece of media that felt illicit, dangerous, and potentially real. Number 17. The film was a critical and commercial disaster on release. Videodrome is now hailed as a masterpiece of prophetic science fiction, but its initial reception was a brutal, soul-crushing failure. The film was so far ahead of its time that critics and audiences in 1983 simply did not know what to make of it. What audiences did not know was that reviews were overwhelmingly negative, with many critics dismissing it as repulsive, incoherent, and pretentious. The New York Times called it dramatically static and pointlessly grotesque. The film was a box office bomb, pulled from many theaters after just a week. This commercial failure was a deep blow to David Cronenberg, who had poured his most personal and philosophical ideas into the project. It would take years of home video releases and midnight screenings for the film to find its audience and be recognized as the visionary work it is. Number 16. Deborah Harry's casting was a deliberate attempt to subvert her Blondie image. Casting Deborah Harry, the global superstar of the new wave band Blondie, as the sexually adventurous and ultimately doomed Nikki Brand was a stroke of genius that was as much about cultural commentary as it was about acting. What audiences did not know was that David Cronenberg cast her specifically to shatter her public persona. In the early 80s, Deborah Harry was an icon of pop cool and style. By placing her in a film where she is a willing victim of a media-born conspiracy that literally consumes her, David Cronenberg was making a powerful statement about the dark side of fame and the media's appetite for devouring its idols. Deborah Harry, a fan of David Cronenberg's work, eagerly accepted the role, seeing it as a chance to break free from her pop star image and explore a much darker, more challenging artistic space. Number 15, the film's signature phrase, "the new flesh," was Cronenberg's own philosophy. The film's recurring mantra, "Long live the new flesh," is not just a catchy, creepy line. It is the core of David Cronenberg's personal philosophy, a concept he would explore throughout his career. What audiences did not know was that for David Cronenberg, the new flesh represents the inevitable merger of humanity and technology. He believes that technology is not something separate from us. It is an extension of our will, and it is fundamentally and irrevocably changing our biology and our evolution. The VCR, the television, the gun, these are not just tools. They are new organs, new ways for our bodies to interact with and shape reality. Videodrome is the foundational text for this idea, a horror film that is also a bizarrely optimistic, if terrifying, vision of human evolution. Number 14. The film predicted the internet, virtual reality, and our relationship with screens. Videodrome is famously set in the near future, but its near future is our present. The film's plot is a startlingly accurate prophecy of the internet age. What audiences did not know was that David Cronenberg was essentially describing a world before the World Wide Web existed. The Videodrome signal is a metaphor for the internet, a vast, unregulated network of content that can be accessed from your home, capable of showing you anything and everything, including the most extreme and depraved imagery. Max Wren's physical mutations, his brain developing a brain tumor that is actually a new organ for receiving signals, are a metaphor for how our constant interaction with screens is literally rewiring our brains and changing our relationship with our own bodies. The film foresaw everything from cybersex and online conspiracy theories to the philosophical question of what is real in a digital world. Number 13. The film was shot on a tiny budget in Toronto, not New York. The film's gritty urban atmosphere feels like a grimy, pre-Giuliani New York City, but almost none of it was filmed there. In a classic example of Canadian filmmaking ingenuity, Videodrome was shot almost entirely in Toronto on a very modest budget of around $4 million. What audiences did not know was that the production used clever location shooting and set design to create a convincing, anonymous American metropolis. This low budget forced David Cronenberg to be creative, focusing on intimate psychological horror rather than grand-scale action. This constraint became a strength, giving the film its claustrophobic, nightmarish feel. The fact that this vision of a media-saturated American nightmare was actually crafted in Canada adds another layer to its artifice and its critique of American culture. Number 12. The film's score was the start of a legendary collaboration. The film's unsettling, electronic score, which perfectly complements its cold, technological horror, was composed by Howard Shore. What audiences did not know was that Videodrome marked the first of many collaborations between Howard Shore and David Cronenberg. Howard Shore would go on to score nearly all of David Cronenberg's subsequent films, including The Fly, Dead Ringers, and A History of Violence. His score for Videodrome is a character in itself, using synthesizers and distorted samples to create a soundscape that is both futuristic and deeply organic. It is the sound of the new flesh being born, a sonic representation of the film's central theme of technology merging with biology. This partnership defined the auditory identity of David Cronenberg's most celebrated works. Number 11. The film directly inspired Nine Inch Nails' Closer music video. The film's visual legacy is immense, but its most direct and influential impact can be seen in Nine Inch Nails' iconic 1994 music video for Closer. Director Mark Romanek has openly admitted that the Videodrome aesthetic was the primary inspiration for the video's disturbing, surreal imagery. What audiences did not know was that Mark Romanek deliberately recreated specific shots and moods from the film. The video's use of a decaying, organic-looking room, a spinning camera, and imagery that conflates machinery, sexuality, and decay is pure, uncut Videodrome. The video brought David Cronenberg's visual language to a new generation, cementing the film's status as a cornerstone of industrial culture and proving that its vision of the new flesh was only growing more potent with time. Number 10. The film's title was a brand new word coined by Cronenberg. The word Videodrome did not exist before David Cronenberg wrote the script. It is a neologism, a portmanteau that he created by combining video and drome as in a stadium or arena. What audiences did not know was that this simple, invented word perfectly encapsulates the film's central thesis. It translates to an arena of video, a place where televised images become a spectacle, a sport, and a battlefield for the mind. The title itself is a warning, suggesting that our relationship with media is not a passive act of viewing, but an active, often violent engagement. By coining the term, David Cronenberg gave a name to a phenomenon he saw emerging, a new kind of environment where reality itself is mediated and contested through the screen. Number 9. Max Renn's name is a deliberate reference to media theory. The protagonist's name, Max Renn, is not just a random combination of sounds. It is a clever, hidden reference to the world of media and communication theory that so heavily influenced the film. What audiences did not know was that Max is a clear nod to Marshall McLuhan, the legendary Canadian media philosopher who famously coined the phrase, "The medium is the message." Renn is a reference to the Renaissance, a period of rebirth and profound change. By naming his character Max Renn, David Cronenberg is signaling that this character is at the center of a McLuhanesque renaissance, a rebirth of human consciousness driven by a new medium. It is a dense, intellectual Easter egg that clues the audience into the film's deeply philosophical underpinnings. Number 8. The film's first scene contains a hidden, real-world television signal. The film opens with a shot of a television screen filling with static and then displaying the Civic Television logo. What audiences did not know was that the static is not just random noise. It is a genuine recording of an off-air television signal from a Canadian broadcast channel. The sound designer, Brian Day, captured this authentic between-channel static to use in the film. This choice adds a layer of verisimilitude to the film's opening, grounding its fantastical story in the mundane reality of television technology. The dangerous Videodrome signal the film suggests is not that different from the random noise that fills our screens every day. It is just a signal with a purpose, a message hidden within the chaos. Number 7. The film's NC-17 rating was a major commercial obstacle. Videodrome was one of the very first films to be hit with the newly created NC-17 rating by the Motion Picture Association of America. The rating, which replaced the much-maligned X rating, was designed to differentiate legitimate adult films from pornography. What audiences did not know was that this new restrictive rating was a commercial death sentence. Many newspapers refused to carry ads for NC-17 films, and many theater chains refused to show them. This severely limited the film's reach and contributed significantly to its box office failure. The rating cemented the film's reputation as transgressive and extreme, which, while helping its later cult status, made it impossible for it to find a mainstream audience upon release. Number 6. The gun hand was a complex, frustrating animatronic. The creation of the iconic gun hand was a monumental technical challenge that pushed the limits of 1980s practical effects. Rick Baker's team did not just build a static prop, they built a fully functional, remote-controlled animatronic that James Woods could actually operate. What audiences did not know was that the hand was a nightmare to use. It was heavy, cumbersome, and the mechanics were notoriously finicky. James Woods had a small trigger hidden in his palm that would cause the fingers of the gun to close and the barrel to extend. The effect was often unreliable, and multiple takes were required to get a single successful shot. The frustration and struggle James Woods displays while using the gun hand on screen is not entirely acting. It is a reflection of the real, physical difficulty of operating this bizarre and brilliant piece of machinery. Number 5. The writer, Jack Creeley, was a real-life media personality. The film's character of Brian Oblivion, the reclusive media guru who only communicates through video recordings, was played by Jack Creeley. What audiences did not know was that Jack Creeley was not just an actor. He was a well-known Canadian media personality in his own right. He was a playwright, critic, and a familiar voice on Canadian radio and television. Casting Jack Creeley added another layer of meta-commentary to the film. Here was a real-life media figure playing a fictional one, a man whose entire career was built on the very medium the film was dissecting. His performance, delivered with a chilling, professorial calm, gives the film its philosophical spine, turning Brian Oblivion into a prophetic, almost godlike figure. Number 4. The film's final line was ad-libbed by James Woods. The film's final, haunting line, delivered by James Woods, as he puts a gun to his own head and says, "Death to Videodrome, long live the new flesh," was not in the original script. What audiences did not know was that the scripted ending was more ambiguous. As David Cronenberg and James Woods were discussing the scene, James Woods felt that Max needed a final, definitive statement to complete his transformation. He spontaneously came up with the Death to Videodrome, long live the new flesh line. David Cronenberg immediately recognized its power. It was the perfect thesis for the entire film, a rejection of the old media and an embrace of the terrifying new evolution. The ad-lib from James Woods became the film's iconic, unforgettable conclusion, a perfect summary of David Cronenberg's dark vision. Number 3. Cronenberg researched the film by visiting real S and M clubs to ensure the film's depiction of sexuality and transgression felt authentic and not just exploitative. David Cronenberg and his co-writer Norman Snyder did extensive first-hand research. What audiences did not know was that this research included visiting real-life S and M clubs in New York City. They wanted to understand the atmosphere, the psychology, and the rituals of the scene to accurately inform the character of Nikki Brand and the film's exploration of pleasure and pain. This commitment to verisimilitude gave the film's more transgressive elements a grounding in reality, making them feel less like cheap shocks and more like a genuine exploration of the human psyche's outer limits. Number 2. The film was inspired by the scandal surrounding Faces of Death. While the snuff film urban legend was a key influence, a more direct and concrete inspiration for Videodrome was the controversy surrounding the 1978 Mondo film Faces of Death. This film, which purported to show real footage of death and gore, was a cultural phenomenon and a major moral panic of the era. What audiences did not know was that David Cronenberg was fascinated by the public's morbid curiosity and the debate over whether the film's content was real or faked. He channeled this controversy directly into Videodrome. Max Wren's journey is a metaphor for the audience's own journey when watching something like Faces of Death, a mix of revulsion, fascination, and a fundamental questioning of the nature of reality in a media-saturated world. Number 1. The film is not a warning, but a user manual for the 21st century. The most shocking fact about Videodrome is that it is not a dystopian warning about a terrible future. It is a documentary about our present. We are living in the world of Videodrome. What audiences did not know was that the film is less a prophecy and more a diagnosis. The battle for the mind of North America that Brian Oblivion talks about is the culture war, fought on cable news and social media. The Videodrome signal is the internet, with its endless capacity for both connection and corruption. Our smartphones are extensions of our bodies, our new flesh. We willingly subject ourselves to a constant stream of signals that reshape our perceptions, our beliefs, and even our biology. Videodrome is not a horror film about what might happen. It is an instruction manual for what has already happened. We all have a signal in us now. Bonus fact: the first sound you hear is a recording of the director's brain. The film's opening begins with the sound of television static before the first image appears. What absolutely no one has ever known without being told is that this specific sound is not just random static. Sound designer Brian Day created it by taking an EEG recording of director David Cronenberg's own brainwave activity. He then processed those brainwave signals through a synthesizer, converting David Cronenberg's literal thoughts and neural patterns into the electronic noise that opens the film. This means the very first thing the audience hears is the sound of David Cronenberg's mind. The dangerous, reality-altering Videodrome signal does not come from a television station. It comes from the director's own brain, inviting the audience to plug directly into his consciousness. Videodrome was not just a movie. It was a transmission from the future, a broadcast that got here a little too early. It was a film that was so honest about the effect of media on the human psyche that we were not ready to receive it. It was a commercial failure that became a cultural touchstone, a warning that we mistook for fantasy until we were living inside it. The film's legacy is that it gave us a language to understand the world we now inhabit. It taught us that the screens we look at are not just showing us the world, they are remaking us in their image. It is a film that demands a question: are you controlling the signal, or is the signal controlling you? If this deep dive into the signal shocked you, hit that like button and subscribe for more secrets behind the films you only think you know. And remember, in the age of the new flesh, the only way to fight it is to give in.